what I'd be saying, I know you got a degree in social work, and I'm just curious what that looks like. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There, I messaged her.
Awesome. How's that feel?
You want me to say I love you to her?
No, I said, no, I said, how does that feel?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, that's kind of weird to just ask this and say, I love you. Like, no,
I mean, you can if you want, it's family. I don't know. It's ADHD rewired episode 303. This is the podcast for those of us with really good intentions and a slightly wandering attention. I'm Eric Tivers. I'm a licensed clinical social worker by training and a coach by design. I'm your host, and I have ADHD. ADHD Rewired is more than just a podcast. We are a community. We are wired for connection, and you are not alone. Go to ADHDrewired.com to learn how you can join us in our free secret Facebook group. Get additional resources for every episode, including links to any resources we mention on today's show. You can support us on Patreon, sign up for our email newsletter. You can request podcast postcards to distribute to your clients and support groups, and you can learn all about our intensive online video-based coaching and accountability groups. You can do all of this at our website, ADHDrewired.com. We know that starting is the hardest part, so let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of ADHD Rewired. Today's guest is Kyle Baconian. Did I get that right?
Baconian. Almost.
You even gave me the rhymes with. We're going in. Baconian. Okay, so it's not okay. We're going.
Going in, it's kind of like slang, like we're going in, Baconian.
But kind of like dropping the N in the going.
Yeah, maybe exactly. Yeah.
So Kyle is 19. He was born and raised near Vancouver in British Columbia. He was diagnosed with ADHD and attentive type in June of last year, which of course was also the last few weeks of 12th grade. I think you might be tied for the youngest guest I've had on the show. So he's since he's learned a lot about himself, how ADHD affects him, as well as experienced some of the many great and not so great things that life has to offer. So welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
And you said that you were kind of hoping to get coached on the podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dive right in. And you can share some of your backstory if you'd like first. What are you looking for some support with or some coaching around?
I'm just kind of like I have this idea that I've been trying to figure out for the past year because I've been living on my own and everything. And, I haven't really found exactly something that I want to do for the rest of my life kind of thing. And, lately the only ideas that have been coming to mind are just some kind of jobs that involve like helping people. Mm-hmm. And, with getting diagnosed with ADHD and everything, I've kind of noticed that at least in the Vancouver area, there's not a whole lot of like doctors that ADHD related doctors and stuff that have ADHD themselves. And just with my experience to the ones I've gone to, like it feels like some of them don't even really know what they're talking about. They're just kind of going based off the book and everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just kind of, when I thought about that to myself, I kind of just started thinking that it'd be kind of cool if I were to become an ADHD related physician, or not physician, I don't know, psychologist or something like that, or similar to what you
kind of mental health professional or coach.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah. Let's give a little bit of context to your story. So you've been living on your own for the last year or so.
Yeah, just over that. Yeah.
And tell us just a little bit about some of the pivotal things in your life, kind of growing up that has brought you to who you are today.
Well, I mean, I spent majority of my childhood was playing video games. Not gonna lie, I pretty much every day after school, I was always going home and playing video games until dinner, then have dinner, and after dinner, keep playing video games and stuff.
What kind of games did you play?
Oh, I used to play, like when I was younger, I used to play a lot of computer games like like RuneScape. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. It's kind of it's just one of those games where you make a character, you know, there's a bunch of different skills you can work on. It's one of those kinds of games where you have to play for thousands and thousands and thousands of hours to get like to the highest point in the game.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of like those kinds of games. And now that I've like been able to look at certain things that I used to do with like the perspective of how it affected or how ADHD was affecting it, I think a lot of it was because like that kind of game, you know, there's nothing you have to do. You could just do whatever you want. And yeah, it's just constantly like, you know, you're doing something. Ooh, you leveled up and now you can do this and you can do that. And I guess just those like just hits of dopamine and everything that it's giving you, and
a safe place to practice things too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I actually learned a lot from that game too. Like I remember that game, like back in the day, it taught me like the idea of in the game, the term they use is merching, but basically like you're buying things for one price and then selling them to other people for a higher price.
Okay.
And I learned a lot of like,
it's a good business model.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I know I've learned stuff like in the game I had been scammed a lot, or if not a lot, I guess, but a few times, just because like there's people obviously like they might be saying they're doing something for you, or, you know, you give them this item and they'll give you something better in return. And then you give them the item like, oh, I'm going to get something really good. And then they log off or go away or just don't give you anything. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. So, you know, I kind of learned to be a little bit more skeptical when people are just offering things that are too good to be true.
Okay. And we'll probably get to that in a little bit. So, how was school for you growing up?
I used to really like school. I know, up until I think grade 10. Yeah, I think up until grade 10, I had always been on the honor roll. Like I was always like a B to like a high B to like low A grade student. I used to love like math and English and stuff just because like in middle school, so like grade like what is that, like grade 6 to grade 8 or whatever, and grade 9 and grade 10. I was always really good at math. Like it always was just so easy to me. Like
it just came naturally to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was always like the student that when I was like sitting around my friends in class, like if they didn't understand it, like I was so easily able to explain things to them in a different way and help them understand. And same with English and everything. Like it was just always so easy for me when we'd be doing assignments in class where, you know, you get like a little short story or whatever, and you're supposed to write about a certain topic related to the story and stuff like that. It just always came so easily to me. And same with science. I was just always so interested in science.
So how did you respond when things were hard? Did you kind of shut down to it, or did you step up to the challenge?
Honestly, like I think in those years, I don't think that, honestly, I can't even really think of too many times when school was like really hard. Yeah, honestly, yeah, it never like, I mean, maybe there probably were times, honestly, but I just can't really remember. I just always remember those years being like the years in school when I was really, really into school. And like, I never did homework though. I never did homework and I never studied. And I think that like I just got kind of cocky, I guess. Because, you know, I was always doing so well, like always getting A's and B's. Like I think up until grade 10 or whatever, I only got like 1 C. And I think that was just in like a socials class or whatever in high school, because I just did like the teacher. So I just like, I think I just didn't try very hard in that class. But then after grade 10, so yeah, grade 11 and 12, those were kinds of the years that I like, the part of me not studying and not doing homework kind of started to catch up to me. And that was also kind of the year I stopped like always just playing video games and stuff. And I don't know, I guess a lot of things kind of changed back then. And
tell us more about that time. So it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's also kind of the time when, when I was growing up, I was never really one to be going out with friends and stuff on the weekends and staying up super late and everything. And then in grade 10, like spring break or whatever, that was the first time I ever went to like a party with some of my friends. And that was also then the first time that I ever really got drunk and everything. And like it never was a problem or anything. It was just like, that was just the first time that it ever happened.
What was that like for you?
That was anytime I think about the first time I went to a party, I remember the next morning when my parents were asking me about it, because like my parents were really, really chill when I was growing up and everything. But I remember telling them about it, and the only thing I could really remember from that party is just like, I think I was sitting on a couch for like 20, 30 minutes, just stretching my face and everything, just from the way I guess it felt. And I was just mesmerized by how stretchy my face felt. But, yeah, yeah, it was kind of funny.
It sounds like you think back to that with fondness.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, it wasn't like I didn't get sick from drinking so much or anything. Cause I think I just kind of just kept myself under control to some extent, but, the first time was definitely a fun time.
You said your parents were pretty chill growing up. Did they provide structure for you?
I mean, like, yeah, they definitely weren't like strict parents or anything. They were really nice. They were always there for me if I needed anything. And I was definitely really, really lucky with the parents that I had. And I mean, they were always like they had some structure. I mean, they were always giving me, my sister, chores to do, but it wasn't like I never enjoyed doing chores.
Does any kid enjoy doing chores?
I guess not really. No. I mean, my mom set up so that like if me and my sister were consistently doing the things we were told to do, that we'd get, I think it was like $5 or $10 every week or two. But I mean, like $5 isn't really getting too much at this point, but it was like I didn't have like tons of chores to do either. It was mostly just like loading and unloading the dishwasher and making sure I bring down all my dirty laundry when it's time to be doing laundry and everything, and cleaning my room every now and then, even though that one barely ever actually happened, except for when my parents were like, okay, we're getting tons of guests coming over, you got to clean your room, when
it gets to the point where the health department needs to be called, it's time to clean your room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so, mom and dad, ADHD there?
I did actually, like, after I got diagnosed, because I had known that, if the child has it, then it's a lot more likely that one of the parents has it, because it's a genetical thing. So I started telling my parents that, oh, you guys should get tested, and say with my sister and everything. And they didn't really like look into it too much. But then earlier this year, then my dad was finally like, I was starting to kind of notice things, because last summer when I started working for this construction job, the first like month and a bit, like my dad was working for the company as well, and that's how I kind of got an in with it. And for the first month or so, I was working at the same job site as my dad, so I was working with him a lot, and it just, I guess, working with him, I kind of started to notice things that I like have a lot of things in common with him. And,
like what were some of those things?
Oh, I don't know. Just like the way he'd be like if we were told to be working on cutting, like just forming something or whatever, like just the way he's thinking when he's marking everything out, or when he's thinking about how to attack this certain problem or whatever, like it just seems so similar to the ways I'd be doing things. Was
it sort of like a roundabout kind of way, like at
the time I was also kind of skeptical, because he's just a little over 50, like he's like 53 or 54 now, something like that. And so I was kind of like wondering, like, oh, maybe he's just getting old, but that's even what my mom was saying for the first little while, when I was telling her, like, oh, your dad should get checked out for ADHD, but she was like, oh, no, he's just getting old. But I can't even really remember the exact things that we had in common or whatever. It just seemed like the way he was working was a lot of the ways that I was working.
You saw yourself in him.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But then, then earlier this year, he finally ended up getting checked out, and turned out he did have ADHD as well.
What was that conversation like when he shared that with you?
I was at that point, I was kind of like, yeah, I knew it. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Yeah, he seemed pretty, happy to find that out though. And then he ended up starting on medication and everything. And, that was kind of already past the time when I had gone through the process of finding the medication that works for me and everything. So I was kind of helping him through it. And, if he had questions or things he was wondering about it, then I was kind of helping him as well. And, so I feel like that kind of brought us a little bit closer, honestly.
You said it after, grade 10. So you in 11th and 12th grade, was when sort of your performance in school declined.
Yeah. Yeah. That was also, I think then in grade 10 summer, that was also like the first time I ever tried smoking, weed.
Okay.
And, I'm sure you probably know this, that, weed is definitely not the best thing for someone with ADHD. I mean, maybe there are some people out there that it helps with their ADHD. And for the longest time, I thought it helped mine. But now that I have come to quit and everything, and I've kind of started to realize that all that time, like it was helping with some things, but it was making a lot of my symptoms a lot worse. What were
the things that you felt it was helping?
I don't know. It was helping a lot with like stress and my just anxiety and everything. And, it was nice to come home from work and like just be exhausted. And then, I just smoke a little bit and I kind of just calm down and relax for the evening. Okay.
But you said it made things really a lot worse though.
Yeah. Before when I was still in school and everything, grade 11 and 12, like I was smoking for the most part, like every single day. It kind of gets to the point where even when you're not when you haven't just smoked that day, because you've been smoking so regularly, it's still in your system, obviously. And, it just kind of leaves you in this state where you're like, you may not be feeling the effects of being high, but you still have the after effects, what some of the things, just with ADHD, how your memory is already kind of not the best. Yeah, that having the effects of weed and everything in your system, that makes it just that much worse. And your attention problems, that makes that even worse. Yeah, motivation, definitely. Yeah. Because I kind of come to notice that with weed, I think the thing that it makes you feel is that it's not that it takes your stress about things away. It just kind of makes you feel more okay with the way things are.
Right. It's the herbal, I don't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Herbal apathy, if you want to put some alliteration to it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way to explain it. Yeah. I just realized now that I've been sober, I really didn't need it the whole time. It was just kind of, I think a lot of what it was doing that I thought was helping my symptoms, I think a lot of it was just making me not worried about those symptoms.
So you're now living on your own, and you're kind of trying to figure out life. And you recently had a pretty significant traumatic event in your life. Could you share that?
Yeah, sure. I can go a little bit into that. Earlier this year, back in April, near the end, I was kind of the witness to a murder. Me and some of my friends, we were out drinking at a park, just doing what teenagers do or whatever, just hanging out and everything, and it ended up being that some stuff happened, and one of my friends got killed just a few meters away from me, that was definitely something that that was an eye-opening experience to me. It was definitely something hard to experience. Just 1 minute, everything's fine, and then your friend's there and you're talking to him, and then a minute later he's just gone. Mm-hmm. And that was definitely something hard to go through.
I know, Kyle, when we first spoke, you had shared with me that it really just the realization of your mortality kind of woke you up.
Yeah. There was a little while where it was just like if I'm still trying to work on it, but it's just like the fact that like your life could be over just so quickly without you even knowing it. I'm not so much affected by the event anymore. Now it's just more me trying to figure out ways to make myself more like comfortable with doing the things that I don't want to be doing. Because I know like I want to do something with my life. I don't want it to just end with nothing really happening, you know? And, I know the way that's going to happen is just by me doing the things I don't want to be doing. Yeah.
So let's take a quick break. And when we come back, let's start diving into, helping you figure out how to do the things that you don't want to be doing so you can be doing the things that you actually want to be doing.
Awesome.
We will be right back. Here we are at the beginning of a new year. Now is the time for celebration and new beginnings. It takes courage to step into the arena and to move toward change. Step into the arena of our intense online coaching and accountability groups. Listen to Will tell his story about joining the group.
Hi, I'm William. I'm 32, and I joined the coaching group because what I was doing was just not working. I was trying to wrap up a podcast that I had been working on that year, and I was going to do the last episode, and it took me 4 months to edit and finish it. So that was because I was just like, I never got to it and it took forever. I just remember I had a friend texting me, and I was just like, saying something about being lazy, and I'm like, but it's probably just some ADHD stuff. And then I was like, I should go and look at that. I should read more about that. I found Justin McKay's stuff there, and then Matt Eric's stuff, and I was just like, man, there is so much more to this than I ever imagined. Why didn't someone tell me before? And so then I, decided to join the group, talk to my wife. She was like, this is probably a good idea. Joining the group, I was skeptical at first because I didn't really know what I was expecting to get. It was just amazing to be like, put stuff out there and just be like, it really was like there was no judgment. Everyone was just like, me too. Yes, that's exactly what's going on. And it was just like, I had a lot of trouble admitting that I have ADHD sometimes because my brain goes, no, you're just kind of not ADHD. You're just being a shitty person today. And no, I have to be like, yeah, I'm not a shitty person. So, that was kind of one of the things I got from the group was I found some more self-worth that, it's really important to grab, especially because of what I want to do with teaching that kind of stuff to my daughter and my son. And then one of the things that I've just realized is I haven't really had a wasted day since I've joined the group. I had so many days last year where I didn't do anything I wanted to do. And every day I write up my schedule. Even if I don't get it done, I get something done. At the end of the day, I'm so much happier, and I can spend more time with my family without feeling guilty about spending time with my family. And so it's done amazing things for me.
Go to coachingrewired.com. Make 2020 your best year yet. The coaching and accountability groups are intense and require a significant time commitment, up to 7 to 8 hours a week for 10 weeks. But you are up for the challenge. Invest in your growth in 2020. Start putting your good intentions of a better life into action. Go to coachingrewired.com and click the big green button so you get invited to our registration events. Registration is by invitation only. Add your name. Our spring sessions start April 8th, and learn more about the coaching groups at our website. The website again is coachingrewired.com. That's coachingrewired.com. And have a happy, courageous new year. Thank you to all of our patrons who help make this podcast possible with their contributions. We don't have a pledge drive. We just use this gentle reminder. Patronage has been around for a long time. Take a moment to become a patron. When you go to ADHDrewired.com/patron, Patreon, select the button under the membership level that works for you. You will be helping me deliver the content that you are listening to right now. And remember, you can join me in a smaller group of other patrons every fourth Tuesday of the month for an hour-long group coaching call on Zoom if you support us at the $25 a month level or more. Our next call will be on January 28th. That's at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Of course, if you are not in a position to give right now, that's okay too. You can support ADHD Rewired by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or sharing this podcast in any of your favorite Facebook groups that you are in. So if you can think of one online group that you are a part of other than the ADHD Rewired community that you can share this episode with, that goes a long way to support this podcast. But if you can, become a patron today by going to ADHDrewired.com/Patreon. That's ADHDrewired.com/Patreon. Patreon is Patreon. And thanks. All right, we are back, and let's dive right in now. When we first spoke, you said you wanted to get coaching, and I had given you some homework because you had talked about how you were interested in learning about like what you need to do to go back to school, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so just with the position I'm in, if anybody listening has any idea what the way living situation is in the Vancouver area, housing costs and renting is very expensive here. So with the way I'm living right now, like I can't really afford to be going to school part-time and working part-time, just because then I wouldn't really be able to afford living. So I've been kind of at this point where I feel like I'm stuck with like I can't not be working in this job that I'm in right now and living on my own. So I'm just kind of not been sure what to do. I know I could obviously take out like some loans or something to be able to afford some time off to going to school and everything, but the way I look at that is it's hard enough for me to be paying off like a little bit of credit card debt and everything, because I'm also trying to like save up money. You know, I don't want to be just always going through every check, just not saving any money on the side.
And are you saving money right now?
Yeah, every month I'm trying to save like about $50 to $100 at least.
Okay.
I mean, it's not much, but
it's a good habit though to be in.
Yeah. It's something I'm trying to tell all my friends that aren't living on their own, you know, like save while you can, you know, you don't have to pay for everything. So,
right. You know, it's like you don't realize how good they have it, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And, so you're 19, are parents not able to help, or is that just not an option?
I mean, like they could, I mean, they've helped so much since I moved out and everything. They covered the first couple months of my rent and the deposit and everything. And they if I've had like money issues or whatever while I've been on my own, like if maybe I missed some work or whatever from being sick that month, or came to visit them, or just needed time off, and I just wasn't able, by the end of the month I just wasn't able to pay my rent. Well, I've always been able to pay my rent, but I might then not have enough money on the side to be still paying for groceries and everything. Mm-hmm. They've always been helpful and been able to send me money and everything. And
just for clarification, have they offered to help you more? And are you like not accepting it because you want to do it on your own?
I think I have. It's more that I just haven't like asked them like, hey, could you help me out? Like I want to go back to school. I think I just not had that conversation with your parents. It's more just that like they've already helped me so much, and I know I'm probably going to end up needing more help in the future. So I just don't really like the idea of having to ask them for such a large amount of money or a large amount of help. What's the story you're telling yourself about that? Well, I mean, it's like they sold the house here and they moved to where they're living now, 5 hours away or so, and they got a nice house and everything, and they were able to just buy that house out front just because it's cheaper where they moved to, and then they had the money left over just to, I guess, retire temporarily for like a year or so, and now they've both gone back to like having just easy jobs and everything, and I just feel like like if I'm asking them still for so much money and everything, I don't know. It just feels like I feel like I've gotten the idea of the value of money now that I've been working and everything. And I just feel bad if I'm just asking them for so much more money and everything. It's just like I guess what I'm trying to say is that like, it feels like I'm trying to get too much money from them. I don't even know what it is really. It's just, I just hate asking them for more than I need, you know?
Okay. Let me ask you, how are you with asking for help otherwise? And not just from your parents in general.
I don't know. I mean, if there's something I really need help with, I mean, like I've asked for so much from my girlfriend who's been awesome. She's helped me with a lot in the past year.
How long have you two been dating?
It'll be a year in a couple of weeks on the 21st. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I have some pretty good friends, some pretty good friends, in the area and everything. And they've always been there for me if I need anything.
Let me ask you this. So growing up, when talking about education and like future planning, did those conversations about your future, like, was that part of the family discussion?
I mean, yeah, obviously, like my parents were always asking, like, if I had anything that I was interested in doing in the future, and same with the grandparents and everything. But for the most part, it was always just that I didn't know what I wanted to do. Okay.
Did your parents go to college?
I mean, I don't think my mom did. My mom just kind of stuck with like just easier jobs. Like I know she worked at some offices as like a receptionist and everything like that. And
okay.
I think my dad had gone to like just some like basic college programs. Yeah, he like none of them either never got like any kind of degrees or anything.
Okay. So are you going to be the first one in your family's generation to get a college degree?
Well, at least
expressed interest in it anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure like some of my cousins might have gone and done stuff like that, but none of my like grandparents or my parents or anything like that.
All right. So your cousins have done that. Are you close with your cousins?
I'm just saying, like, I'm pretty sure a couple of my cousins have gone to like some nice colleges or a university or something, but none of them are like I don't think I have any family members that are doctors or lawyers or anything like that.
When you think about those cousins going to as you said, these nice schools, or what comes up for you? Like, what do you feel about that?
I mean, like, I'm pretty like. I don't have any bad relationships with any of my cousins, but I think those ones are like, they're a little bit older than me. And it's just not like they're on another part. They're over in Ontario and stuff for the most part. So I don't like get to see them very often. And, I don't know. I guess I'm just not like super close with them. Like I'm not like always talking to them or anything. So it's just never something I really talk to them about, I guess. Okay.
So, because I sensed the slightest sort of tinge of must be nice for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just more that they must have tried harder in school, and so they were able to get into the position that they had.
Okay, so is this part of? I'm just curious. Is this part of your reluctance to even ask your parents for help because you feel you didn't try hard in school?
I think for the most part, like, I don't think that's the problem. I think me not trying hard enough in school is more that like why it's harder for me to figure out what kind of opportunities I could take advantage of.
Okay.
Just because, there's lots of higher programs, you need higher grades in certain classes that I just either didn't take or I just didn't do well in.
So does that limit options for you?
I don't know. I mean, I know I'm not going to be becoming a lawyer or anything, that's for sure, or some crazy like world-renowned psychologist. But I mean, like that's not what I'm going for or anything. But
when you think about what your next few years would look like, because I know that one of the things you said even wanting to do is figure out how to, you want to look into colleges. Right. And the homework that I gave you when we first spoke was to actually look into some different schools in your area, to look about the pricing and housing, if that could be part of that. And you said that right after we spoke, you did a little bit of work in that.
I tried contacting somebody at one of these colleges in the area, and just asking them like what kind of courses I'd be looking into for going into becoming like a social worker or into a therapy or a therapist or anything like that. Mm-hmm. And they said they'd be happy to help me if I were able to come in and talk to them. And I just left it at that because it's like a little bit out of the way. So it would have taken me like an hour and a bit to get there. And it was just kind of inconvenient. And with that inconvenience, it just dropped off, I guess.
Okay. So it was inconvenient. Was there anything else that you think was holding you back from moving forward with that?
I think, it was partially the inconvenience, which just kind of just halted my my interest in, looking into this and everything. And I don't know, I guess it was just also kind of like, I was looking more for just like some kind of simple answers or something that could kind of keep the ball rolling. But then I guess it's just the idea that like, if I were to even be able to go to this school and go to certain programs in that school, like, would I even get into the school? And like, would I have the requirements to get into the school?
Is there fear of rejection?
Yeah, partially that. But then it's also because like the school I was looking to, like I said, it's about like if I were to take transit there, like buses and everything, it'd be about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So if I was doing that from living here, that'd be quite the commute every day. Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, that's the same city where my girlfriend's currently living now. So I was even for a while, I was looking into maybe moving out there and getting a job out there because it'd be a little bit cheaper to be living there.
With your current work, what are your earning prospects?
I make, what is it? I think like 35 or 37 or something every year, 37,000, something around there.
Okay. And what's the cost of living?
Well, it's like $1,230 a month now.
Okay.
Plus then like 40-ish for electricity every 2 months.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe...
You said you're good at math. Can you come?
Oh, I can't. What's that, like 12 times...
Well, you basically said you're putting away on average $50 to $100 a month. So you're basically like living paycheck to paycheck with about $1,200 at best, maybe left over.
Yeah. About half my money goes towards my rent and everything. Yeah.
What is the possibility of highest potential of earning in your current work?
I guess, yeah, if I went to every single shift, like made my exact, like at least 80 hours every paycheck, I think that'd be like 26 or so hundred a month, maybe a little bit less after taxes.
Okay. So do you like this work?
That's the thing. It's like some days, like I love working. I mean, I've kind of been like hopping around sites just because, yeah, if I'm needed at another site, I have to go there obviously. Cause I never went to school for any trades or anything. So I'm still technically a laborer.
Isn't that a big thing in Canada?
Like going to school for your trade and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that's the case anywhere, but I mean, yeah, because otherwise you don't quite have the what's the word for it?
Qualifications or?
Yeah, the qualifications and everything, so technically I am still a laborer.
Isn't like an apprenticeship? Isn't that
Yeah, that's something I could have done in school if I wanted to. When I was in high school, there was an apprenticeship program.
Okay.
I think just back then I was just like, no, I don't really want to do trades.
Okay.
And I still feel that way. I don't want to do trades my whole life.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, for the most part though, I don't mind the work just because it keeps me busy, It's just more than the things that like weather or certain people that I have to work with sometimes.
Let me ask you this: when you're facing something that feels hard or uncertain, what's your response to those situations? So even like as simple as like, not as simple, but like you got a pile of dishes at home, and you're like, I don't really want to do that. Like, what's your go-to response?
Dishes I've been actually getting a lot better at lately. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty proud of myself.
That's awesome.
Especially because
proud of yourself for that.
Yeah. Especially because 2 weekends ago, my mom and my sister came down for the weekend to visit, and my mom finally bought me a coffee machine, which made me so happy because all year I've been drinking like a couple Red Bulls a day. And I've been wanting to quit Red Bull for the longest time. And for the majority of the year, I've been saying, okay, I'm going to quit Red Bull as soon as I get a coffee machine.
Tell me why this made you so happy.
It was because now that I have a coffee machine, you know, I have to wash the coffee pot and my little travel mug and everything every day, because I want to be able to have coffee then the next morning and everything. And I don't have time to do that stuff in the morning. So I have to wash dishes at least once every day.
Well, but why else to that? Like, I sense this like feeling of just like immense gratitude when you were talking about like how your mom got you this coffee maker. It has honestly
been so nice too, because like I feel like nowadays it's pretty like basic thing to have, but it's a coffee machine that has a timer. So, you know, you fill it up and everything and get it ready before you go to bed. And then you set on the timer to start brewing like at a certain time. And now I just set that like 10, 15 minutes before I wake up every morning. So now that's been helping a lot with like not sleeping or not staying in bed that extra 10, 15, 20 minutes. Just because I want to get up on time so the coffee doesn't get cold, you know?
I don't know if you ever, there's it's a crazy coffee hack for if you have a hard time getting out of bed. So if you have the coffee machine on a timer, so you also have an alarm, you know, in your room. But you don't put the actual pot underneath the cup. So like you have to be in the kitchen. Otherwise you're going to have coffee on your floor, basically.
No. That's getting a little sketchy there. I don't know about that one.
No, but Kyle, one of the things I hear though is like that you have a real appreciation for things that make your life easier. And that's, I think that is something that, well, maybe with a lot of people within your generation that I don't see a lot of that. And so it's actually really good to see like that you appreciate something like a coffee maker, right? Like that's I think a really good quality, to have. So think about what you wanted to do something in the helping profession. Mm-hmm. What would it be like to you? What would it feel like to you if your work involved helping people who, you know, have been through stuff that you've gone through, and you're able to sit with them and help them through a lot of that stuff?
That would probably be one of the most, what's the word for it? Fulfilling that would be one of the most fulfilling jobs I could think of.
So let's talk about what's, this convenience factor, right? Mm-hmm. So you said you have inattentive ADHD. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's look at this through the lens of executive functioning. All right. So you made the call, you did that first step, and maybe there was some hope that, they would just give me all the answers on this call, and I can tell Eric that I did my homework, and now they're like, I made the calls, I did my homework, and now I have more homework, right? Which is like when you have that like on your to-do list to make a call, and you made the call and you left the voicemail, but the actual task isn't done. So you're like, what do I do with this item on my to-do list? Like I made the call.
I'm just going to put it out there. I know I hit a total wall of awful with that attempt.
Okay.
But,
So let's work through this. All right. Cause you should have alluded to it that like in order to do the things that you really want in life that are going to really bring you that real fulfillment, there's going to be a lot of walls of awful that you're going to have to climb through and figure out how to work around and get the support to get around. And one thing you don't need to do is climb it alone. Mm-hmm. Right. So looking at the one that asking for help. right? Whether that's asking a friend or your girlfriend for help with the actual, like, you know, I got to make this call. Will you check in with me to see if I did it? Right. Or with your parents with financially, because would you agree that your earning potential is much lower staying where you're at?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that would be a good thing for you to also look into as well. And I know the, you know, degrees and licensing and all that kind of stuff is a little bit different in mental health professions. But you also seem like a self-starter and someone who is not afraid to work hard.
Yeah. If I have the reason in mind, or the purpose, I guess, it's a lot easier for me to do things.
Okay. So that's, I'm really glad you said that. Something that I emphasize a lot in my coaching groups is this idea of we need to not raise our IQ because it's not about intelligence. We got to raise our YQ. So WHYCUE, right? So not just the, plan the visit to the college, right? Add the why in that task for yourself. So you know why this matters. So link it to that fulfillment piece. Link it to the thing that really is motivating. Like, it's not motivating to say, oh, I have this thing that's going to take an hour and a half out of my day, and like really it's going to be a whole day because it's like 3 hours just in transportation, right? If you focus on that, it's just going to be like, I'll do that later, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if you have if you connect it clearly and strongly to a clear why, doing things like that is going to be easier as well for you, right? And I was wondering when part of the gratitude around the coffee pot, if part of it was if you were going to say that, and then you can save money because you don't have to be spending money on Red Bulls.
That is another big thing. Okay, definitely. so it is. That is a big thing for sure.
So you know the expression penny wise, dollar poor.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so the idea is like you're saving a penny. Right today, but like,
I get that idea now. Yeah.
So I mean, college and advanced education is that. So you're like, I don't want to spend the money. It's expensive to go to school. Like I'm working. I don't know how to do both. Like that's
an investment.
Yes, it is an investment. And especially, and the other thing to look at too, especially if you're going to be going into a helping profession, is look at the cost of those, of whatever program you're looking into. Cause I mean, there was, when I went to grad school, I went to University of Illinois, Chicago, which is a school with a good reputation. Because of my undergrad that I went to, I was able my grades were good in my program, so I was able to enter as an advanced standing student. So I was basically able to enter as like a second year grad student, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that just saved me not just time, but a lot of money. Now, the program I really wanted to go to was at Loyola. They had a really strong clinical program, but per year it was like 3 times more money, and I would have to do it for 2 years.
Oh, and
wow. I'm doing pretty well for myself in business. Besides from being trained as a therapist, work as a coach, I'm an entrepreneur, right? And I enjoy, making a good living, helping people, right? It's very rewarding. But at the time I was also thinking about it from the lens of, just economics, right? What does the average social worker make? Right. And it's like the average social worker isn't, they don't go into the profession to make a good living necessarily, which is really unfortunate because I think we can help more people when we actually have both, like, to realize we don't need to take a vow of poverty in order to help people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's a lot of colleagues that don't actually agree with me on that.
I don't know why that would be something that everybody agrees on.
I know. So, so if you think about, all right, what's going to be like, if I want to earn X amount of money, or what kind of lifestyle do I want to be able to live? To be able to say, all right, what are the possibilities, and what are those a typical earning potential? What are people who are doing really well? What are they doing? What do I need to do to be able to do those things? Right.
Yeah. I mean, I've been trying to I've been trying to work on saving and everything. So I'm me with quitting smoking and And recently, now quitting Red Bull and everything. And I've also recently quit vaping and everything, which is also that was probably one of the hardest things that I had to do.
I'm happy to hear that you've been able to do that.
Yeah. Just been chewing lots of gum.
Gum is good.
Yeah. But doing all those, it's definitely given me some extra money. And I'm just trying to always find ways to, hold back from doing stuff that like I don't really need to do, I don't really find the need to, go out every weekend or order food every weekend or, I'm just always trying to find ways to cut down on my spending.
Okay.
So I can put it towards things that would make me or do more for me, I guess.
Okay. What I want to do is I want to help you come up with an action plan. What we got to do is take a real quick break and we'll come right back and, help you walk away with an action plan.
For sure. Thanks.
We'll be right back. On Will Curb's Hacking Your ADHD podcast this week, Will explores Gary Keller's book, The One Thing. If you haven't heard of this book, it belongs in everyone's library. Have you checked out Hacking Your ADHD with Will Curb? Go and subscribe to these short, mindful ways to hack your ADHD. Check out Hacking Your ADHD this week and every Monday. Join Will as he explores ways that you can work with your ADHD brain to do more of the things that you want to do. If you haven't yet checked it out, do yourself a favor. Go subscribe to Hacking Your ADHD. That's Hacking Your ADHD. Available to everyone, everywhere you consume podcasts. And our live Q&A is next week on January 14th at 12:30 p.m. Central. Have you registered? Join me and Brendan Mahan from our other podcast, ADHD Essentials, and Will Curb from Hacking Your ADHD, as we answer your questions live. We do this every second Tuesday of the month at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. This is a great way for you to be a part of the community. To register for our free Q&A, where we can answer as many questions as time allows, go to ADHDrewired.com/events. That's ADHDrewired.com/events. We hope to see you there. All right. So you've already sort of done the first step, which is you call the place, at least one of the places, and they said you need to come in. What is the action step to make that happen? What do you need to do?
I guess, I don't know, just figure out what a time that I could come in, hopefully on a weekend or something.
What does that look like?
I need to, go back and send another email to that person and ask if they're available on weekends.
Okay. So if you do that, so let's look at it as a sort of a if this, then that. So if yes, they are available on weekends, then what? Mm-hmm.
Then I need to, just set a time that I could go in on a Saturday or a Sunday and just go in and talk to them.
Okay. And if not, then what?
Then I could take a look at my schedule and see if there's a time coming up that I'd be able to ask for a day off during the week to maybe go and talk to them and
so
see
what?
If they're available.
Okay. And what's the actual action step if you need to do that?
Well, I don't know. What do you mean? Like to find out when I'd be available?
To find out about getting off so you can go for a visit.
Oh, I mean, I have my schedule and everything that I could look at, and just need to see like a time when if I miss this day, do I have enough shifts that I still have gone to or can go to like afterwards to still be making the certain amount of hours that I need to be making so I can still be affording all my stuff.
Okay.
Which usually isn't too big of a problem because it's usually at least one extra day that we could be working or whatever during the payroll.
Okay. So let's say you identify a day that you could do. What do you need to do to get that day?
I just need to ask my boss. He's really chill. He's always been able to be comfortable with me taking a day off or whatever.
So, and how will you ask him? In person, on the phone, text message,
email?
Yeah,
I can just text him. Yeah.
Okay. So the action step then would be to text your boss right? Because if you think about, so one of the things I think is really important for us to think about when we're making a task list, right, is what I refer to as vision verbs. Not just action verbs, because like ask is an action verb, but we can't really see what it is that we need to do.
Yeah.
Right. If you say text, we all know what that looks like, what that feels like, what the actual context of that action is. It's on your phone asking that question. Okay. So now let's do another contingency. If you're looking at your calendar and for whatever reason, the stars are not aligning and you just, you can't get the day off that you need to, then what?
Then, I don't know. I can, if there's no available day where I could just take a day off and it's convenient and there's no time on the weekends to go in, I don't even know what I'd do then.
Tell me, the concern is what?
I don't know. There shouldn't be any problem. I'm being honest. Like I don't feel like there would be any problem with finding a day that worked for me to take a day off, or like, assuming I can't go in on a weekend, there shouldn't be a problem with me finding a day. It's
often easier for us to think about the contingencies and the sort of the if thens or the when thens when it's more in theory versus we are now in that situation and we have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Because there's less emotion involved in it when we're just kind of thinking through those, like, what are the possibilities of this or that happening? If this happens, I'll do this or that. If that happens, I'll do this or that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because if we really think through the steps of stuff like that, I think most of us are pretty good at being able to come up with that. And sometimes it can be helpful to talk it through with someone, and get it out of your head. Right. Like even writing it down, like making a flow chart if you need to, or whatever kind of works for your brain. Where in this is the conversation where you talk to your parents?
That'd probably be like, after I go and talk to this person at the school or whatever. And find out kind of what kind of courses I would need to be taking, how long I would need to be taking said courses. And so I'm able to finally like kind of look into how much that would cost. I guess then it would kind of just be a matter of figuring out like, okay, is this something that I could afford the way I'm living now? Could I be a little bit more, picky with how I'm spending my money for a few months, have a little bit more money going into my savings? Or like, would I need to be taking out a loan? I guess talking to my parents would be just more figuring, once I figured out how much it would cost and if it is actually like a course in a school I could get into.
Okay. You're so far been talking about one school. What are the other options?
There is another college that's kind of close. That's pretty close to me. I think I had taken like a quick look on the website, but I could maybe try contacting a similar idea of someone that just kind of helps out students with their choosing or their picking of classes and everything. I could maybe talk to somebody at the college nearby. But the only thing is, though, that I have actually been, like, for a while now, been considering moving out to this city where my girlfriend's living and everything. So that if I were to end up doing that, then this college that is close by to me, then it'd be kind of flipped around. So then this would be the further away college and be kind of out of the way.
So having something that is convenient to where you are living is important to you.
Yeah, it's just that I don't have a car yet, so like I'm not able to take my. So
you need to be able to find something where public transportation or everything is sort of in walking distance.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could take my driving test in January, but then it's also just a matter of then being able to afford for car insurance and all that stuff. But
yeah. All right. So, and what about online education?
Yeah, some of my friends have told me about that, and I was kind of thinking about that, but I'm just not sure if maybe like online classes are. I mean, I guess maybe they have the same credibility and everything as a in-person class.
Have you ever taken one or no?
No, because I could have taken online courses in high school, but I was thinking about it and just like, I would never get anything done.
Okay. And for some people, they love it. For some people, they can't do it. Like it's just, there is, if you were looking specifically at wanting to become like an ADHD coach, I know that there are a lot of online options there. And you can do things like, you're meeting with your class on Zoom or something like this. So there is that cohort piece. I think it would be helpful for you to kind of take a wide net and say, what are all the things I would possibly like to do? You mentioned social work or psychology. You mentioned coaching, right? So first, like, what are all the helping professions that are, in the area where you live?
There's a lot.
Okay. And find out specifically what those are, right?
Yeah.
Talk to, call up some social workers. See if you can find someone who specializes in ADHD. If you can find someone in your area and say, hey, I'm thinking about pursuing this, like as in my education, like ask them if they have 10 minutes to talk with you about like what you would need to do to take next steps. I think that talking to people, because so much is online, people are often afraid to pick up the phone to talk to people, but you're going to get much further, much faster by having many more conversations with people who are either in it or doing it or can, because think about this, people put information online. So they are also deciding what they do put online and what they don't put online.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be more helpful to actually ask those people information? Because then you can get everything that's in their brain.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. And now that we're talking about it, now that I kind of remembered that one of my cousins that like I am pretty good, pretty close with one of these or this particular cousin. I believe she actually has a degree in social work because I know she's gone back and forth to a bunch of different degrees. And I think she does have a degree in social work. Okay.
So this cousin, when are you going to call her or him?
I mean, they're in another province. So I mean, I could message them on Facebook or whatever.
Make a decision. Instead of be whatever, like how will you message your cousin?
Yeah, I could message them today, just asking. I'm just not really sure what I would be wanting to ask. I guess just asking what kind of courses they had to go through, or I don't know what it would look like if I were to be doing a similar path that they did when they were going into becoming a social worker.
Okay. Do you have your phone on
you? Yeah.
Take a moment and message your cousin.
You want me to message them right now? Okay.
Because this is the type of thing that we can overthink for hours. So, share your intent and then make an ask, right? Like you're wanting to what?
I guess I'm just, what I'd be saying. I know you got a degree in social work and I'm just curious what that looks like. Yeah. Okay, yeah, there, I messaged her.
Awesome. How's that feel?
You want me to say I love you to her?
No, I said, no, I said, how does that feel?
Oh, okay, yeah, I was like, that's kind of weird to just ask this and say, I love you. Like,
no, I mean, you can if you want, it's family. I don't know.
No, we're not quite that close. I mean, if that, it would probably more come off as like a joke or something between us.
Okay. But, so how did it feel as you were typing that out?
Like an adult kind of thing to do. I don't know, like a step.
Nice job, adulting.
Yeah. That's awesome. I need something like that.
I was showing my I have one of those desk like nameplates, but it says adulting. Okay, so it felt empowering. It sounds like. Were you also a little nervous?
A little bit. I mean, I would, if you weren't doing this right now on the podcast, I probably would have taken a few more minutes to like actually word it a little bit differently, but like, no, it feels like a step somewhere.
Okay. Now let's think contingencies right now. If she doesn't respond to you like in a day or two, Then what?
Well, then I could call her or call my aunt and ask why is she not responding to me?
Always be generous on assumptions of people's behavior, right?
Yeah.
It's like, she's probably busy. Maybe she doesn't use Facebook.
When I was just tapping on her name on the messenger, I saw she was active like half an hour ago. So I assume she'll be able to respond.
Okay. Maybe I'm just defending all the people who do the thing that I do sometimes where it's like, I see the message and I'm like, oh wait, I can't respond right now. I'll do it later. And then the response
I like to not
comes.
be that person, but I totally still do it regardless.
I think all of us who do it don't want to be that person, but it's part of what it is. Okay. So action steps. You're going to call back to this college, figure out the dates, look at your work schedule, talk to your boss, right? Get that into your calendar. Talk to your parents. And I think for each thing, each sort of theme or topic or the call that you make, create bullet points out. What's your objective? What's the information that you want to get?
I should do that though. So I know what it is exactly that I'm wanting to ask them and stuff. I do that sometimes when I've gone to doctors in the past, because otherwise I go in there, I maybe ask something and then they bring the conversation in a different direction. And then there goes the rest of what I want to say. Yep.
That's exactly why we go into appointments like that with notes. So you're doing a lot of things really well. The one thing that I really want to encourage you to explore is also changing and exploring your mindset around money, right? And what it means to make those investments and understand that maybe you will need to take out student loans and look at this from a position of investing in your future, right? Also, what it means to ask for help from your parents, right? My parents helped to pay for my complete undergrad, right? I paid for grad school, which is probably also why I did really well in grad school. Because I was the one that wrote those checks. So look at, you can find this great program, but make sure it's not the most expensive program, right? So especially if you're doing it through loans. I know in the US, the cost of higher ed is ridiculous. I don't know if it's similar in Canada.
I know that it doesn't cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to school if I choose to do this.
Okay. Well, that's good. Cause it's, that's good. It's good that you've been saving money. I don't know if, you're going to get to go to college based on your current income and savings plan.
Definitely not. No.
Not before you're 50, right?
No. Oh,
right.
Man. No.
And you have a lot of skills, right? I mean, you are living on your own. I know we didn't really talk about this, but didn't you say you used to do a YouTube channel for a while?
Yeah, there was a good 2, 3, 4 years where I was really into making videos. For the high point, I was really into Photoshop and 3D graphics and everything. So I was making all my my artwork and my intros and outros and everything for my channel and making 2, 3, 4 videos a week. I was really, awesome. Really into it.
And I tell you, there are so many people in the helping professions that either want nothing to do with that kind of stuff or are scared of it or don't know how to do it or believe that doing stuff that involves, that kind of content creation around what they're trying to help, they feel uncomfortable about it for, a variety of reasons. But I think it's so important that we are meeting people where they're at. And if you can bring a skill set you already have to a passion that you want to pursue, I think that you're going to find the hard stuff enjoyable. And that even when you feel like you're hitting those roadblocks, whether it's, specifically ADHD related, I think that you're going to, call upon a lot of your inherent strengths and take those actions and ask for help. No one gets to where they are without asking for help.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's super unusual, I think, for someone your age to put themselves completely through school while trying to work full. I mean, it's, I don't know how someone does that.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. No.
Right. So it may be shifting your mindset to, school is my full-time job. I know when I was in school, I considered that my full-time job. I maybe had a job on the side for, for some spending money. But you get, especially when you have ADHD, there's only so many domains in life we can really put our full attention onto.
Yeah.
And usually it's
sure.
like one, right? So like, are you able to, sort of pause on trying to, live by making a living and live by going to school, getting loans for a living and all that kind of stuff, the way that people get higher education degrees?
I think that honestly, thinking about it, if I were to be able to just be going to school right now full time and everything, that sounds like at the time, when I finished school, that was the last thing I would have wanted to do. But now at this point, I would love to be going back to school. And
and I think that's great. And I think probably at the time you probably needed some time to work and to be away from school. Mm-hmm. And I think that for a lot of people with ADHD, 18, 19, 20 years old, work. I think working is a really good idea because it's.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because if we think about the ADHD brain developmentally, you're 19. I mean, so developmentally you're 16, 17.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so it's who would expect a 16-year-old to, hold on a job and pay rent and take care of all this adulting stuff. Yeah. Right. So, I think you should be really proud of yourself. I think you're doing a really you're adulting and you're barely an adult.
No, yeah, it's nice of you to say that. I appreciate it.
So big kudos to you. Get really clear on those actions though. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
And you've reached out to your cousin. Tell me when you're going to take that next action step of reaching back out to the school, to find out when you can come in for a visit.
After this call, I think I might even just finish writing out the rest of that plan, that we were just doing. And, I might as well email the person today. Yeah. I
think sometimes if we can also do those things like our life depended on it and figure out a way to sort of, to play that mental game of oh God, what if I absolutely needed to do this today, and create some, game scenario in your mind. Cause you had said that you're really into gaming and those, sort of the scenarios of skill building.
What you're trying to tell me to do, I've definitely done that before to get things done. Yeah.
Awesome. Kyle, you have my contact information. I would love to hear from you later today. For sure. To hear how you did.
Sounds good, man.
Will you agree to do that?
Yeah, for sure. I'll get back to you.
All right. Email or text? What do you prefer?
Maybe email.
Okay. And so I think you have my email.
Yeah. I do.
All right. I will, and I'll throw it in the chat when we're done recording here.
Okay,
all right.
Cool.
Kyle, thank you so much for spending the, hour and 7 minutes that we've been recording.
No, of course. Yeah,
I totally tried to make it 45 minutes. But this was a great conversation and I hope you found this helpful.
No, yeah, I love being here.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
This is Eric Tivers. Thank you for listening and congratulations for making it to the end. ADHD Rewired is more than just a podcast. We are a community focused on learning, growing, and connection. The website is ADHDrewired.com. You can find summaries and additional resources for each episode. You can apply to our free and secret Facebook community. You can learn more about ADHD Rewired's intensive online video-based coaching and accountability groups and sign up for my email newsletter to get exclusive content you won't get anywhere else. It's all at ADHDrewired.com. While you're there, click the Patreon button. If you're a regular listener and you're still listening to my voice, consider making a monthly contribution by becoming a patron through our Patreon page. If you are able to financially support my work, it would mean a lot. This show is free to listeners, but it is not free to produce. And patrons get really cool perks. You can follow me on Twitter at Eric Tivers. You can like our Facebook page at facebook.com/ADHDrewired. If you're a coach, therapist, or related professional, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/Eric Tivers. You can also subscribe to ADHD Rewired on YouTube. And you can subscribe to ADHD Rewired on YouTube and see select interviews and some other videos I've posted. Podcasts change lives. You can make a difference in someone's life by spreading the word about this podcast. Mention it in your online communities on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, or wherever you hang out online. And be sure to share it with your friends and your family and your clients, as well as your coaches, therapists, and doctors. And if you're a coach, therapist, doctor, or ADHD support group leader, and you would like a pack of podcast postcards to hand out, you can request those at my website, ADHDrewired.com. And if you're a member of CHAD or any other ADHD support group, please be sure to tell them about this podcast. You can even show them how to download it on their phone. You know, you might be the person that turns somebody on to a podcast for the very first time. And if you really love this episode, please consider hitting share on your podcast player. I'm only one person, and I count on you to help me spread the message. One of the biggest things that you can do to support this podcast and to help other people discover it is to leave an honest rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or any other podcast app that accepts ratings and reviews. And don't forget to hit subscribe on this podcast on your podcast app so new episodes are automatically pushed to your favorite podcast app. Looking for more ways to listen and learn? Get a free audiobook and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/ADHD rewired. Not sure where to start? In no particular order. Check out Atomic Habits by James Clear, The Body Keeps Score by Bessel van der Kolk, 10% Happier, and Meditation for Fidgety Skeptics. These are both by Dan Harris. Change Your Questions and Change Your Life by Marilee G. Adams. The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. Procrastinate on Purpose by Rory Vaden. The Four Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. Do you have trouble asking for help? Listen to The Art of Asking by Amanda Palmer. It's one of the best produced audiobooks I've ever heard. If you're looking for something a little bit more, say, magical, I unexpectedly fell in love with the Harry Potter series. And I don't usually listen to those kinds of books, and I loved it. And of course, if you haven't yet boarded the Brene Brown bus yet, check out Brene Brown's books, starting with The Gifts of Imperfection, Daring Greatly, Rising Strong, The Power of Vulnerability. And if you're an entrepreneur or leader in any capacity, check out her 2018 book, Dare to Lead. And Brene still is my most wanted guest, so if you know Brene, and you would be so kind to make that connection for me, I would be really, really grateful. You know who else I would like to have on the show? You. Click the podcast tab at ADHDrewired.com and then click the Be a Guest button at the top of that page and schedule a 15-minute pre-interview. This is Eric Tivers, reminding you to keep learning, keep growing, and keep connecting. Self-care is not selfish, and no matter what gets done or doesn't get done, at the end of the day, you are still enough. And no matter how hard it feels, we can do hard things. Thanks for listening. I'll catch you next week.